Rubens Barrichello ran into gravel on Friday, ran into form last night.
And here we are on board then. Watch this entry into Beckett.
A little wide on Stowe Corner, his second sector was slower than his morning practice, but the benchmark was set.
With a great 1 minute 21.2, that's a fast lap.
The next 5 drivers, including the Saubers and Jordans, did not come close. Jacques Villeneuve was the first to get into the 122s, but still more than a second slower than the Ferrari. Next driver was Kimi Raikkonen, another ace buried in the pack, and the first Michelin runner of the session. He trailed by 0.218 on the first 2 sectors.
Half a second slower than Rubens Barrichello.
Mark Webber's teammate Antonio Pizzonia was a little surprising, building a good lap on a very quick second sector, good enough to hold him in the top 10 by the end of the session. Likewise, Cristiano Di Marta, Toyota's hard testing paid off in this lap, where he also put down a competitive second sector in spite of a lockup.
And he does indeed edge Villeneuve out. So
Jenson Button started slowly, but it doesn't come much slower than this.
And unfortunately for him, a little bit more grass cutting this weekend.
Mark Webber made most of his errors in Sector 2, where everyone else was finding the going easier. And he had to chalk one up to his teammate this time. He fell 3 positions from Friday, ultimately 11th fastest. It could have been worse, but David Coulthard had a very disappointing run. Close to his teammate's time in Sector 1, lost a heap in Sector 2, and not only fell well short of pole, but will start behind Webber. Next up, a gem from Jarno Trulli, stumped a load of time on Sector 3 and would fall to 13th, 7 places behind his teammate. Fernando Alonso never recovered from a slow first sector and, like Panis, would find himself separated from his teammate by 6 places on the grid. Ralf Schumacher trailed Barrichello by more than 3/10 on Sector 1, steadied the ship on Sector 2, but struggled onto Row 2. 2 drivers left. Juan Montoya made an error at Beckett's and would have to find a massive 3/10 of a second in the final 2 sectors.
a full second slower than Rubens Barrichello.
Michael Schumacher once again wheeling out for the last word in qualifying. Sector 1 was almost on pole pace, but you can't throw the car entirely off the circuit at Abbey and get away with it.
Anytime. Oh, well out of shape then. Haven't seen anybody do that for ages. On the exit, it's very
Barrichello's first pole since Brazil in round 3. Jarno Trulli equals his best qualifying result of the season. Raikkonen reportedly on a heavier fuel load than others, but in the top 8. That's Di Marta's best starting position in Formula 1. Mark Webber later admitted his lap was messy, running wide, locking up and cutting too many curbs. British fans will be scanning the back of the field at the start. Coulthard 12th. Olivier Panis cited handling problems for his slip. Jos Verstappen has an injured shoulder, and Jenson Button had a long walk back to the pits, but there's an even longer day ahead of him.
Yeah, well, the pole sitter hasn't won here for 5 years, but the winner hasn't qualified lower than 4th either, so that's an interesting signal for some of those guys in the middle of the pack. I did not mention one very important fact with Di Marta's lap, Neil, and that is...
Well, the car that he was to have driven failed in the warm-up, and then when he went to go out for qualifying, he had to jump in the T car, and I think that makes his qualifying performance even that little more remarkable. Interesting also that we talked earlier about the number of people that have had significant technical improvements this weekend. Jaguar are introducing a new aero package this weekend, and everybody in Formula 1 talks lift-drag ratio in terms of more downforce for no drag penalty, and Jaguar this weekend were taking a significant step forward in their aero performance. And in a game, I mentioned this on RPM earlier on, where you measure incremental gain in very low percentage terms, they actually make a big step forward, but they're expecting many of their key competitors to do the same. So we'll see whether Mark can produce something for us tonight. He's a bit unhappy with his qualifying lap, but I think you'll find that he again is in a good strong position as this race unfolds.
Just recapping those championship points for you as we speak. Mark made his only real racing error of the season here last year. He went onto the paint and subsequently off the track in a very consistent year for Minardi. Now, of course, with Jaguar, reliability has been a big problem until recent rounds.
And he won here in a Formula 3000 car a couple of years ago as well, so and he's had some success at this track, and he likes this track, as many of the drivers do. Interesting, I spoke to a Formula 1 insider earlier in the evening and said, what's the story with Coulthard and the qualifying thing? And he said, it's really simple. He hates the format. He just simply hates the one-lap qualifying format. Doesn't bother Kimi so much, and as evidenced by his ongoing strong performances, but Coulthard really dislikes the thing. He likes to build up to the edge, He likes to cycle some sets of tyres underneath him before he determines exactly where he needs to be. He doesn't enjoy the one-lap blast at all.
Well, Kimi may look back at Magny-Cours as a very costly round for him, but on the other hand, he may look back at this round and particularly that qualifying session as a very, very important turning point, because to leap out of the middle of the pack from Friday into the top 3 and ahead of Michael could be decisive in this race, because most of the passing we've seen this year has been in the pit lane shuffle, and that is, of course, during the stops, however many there are in the various strategies. 4 different manufacturers in the top 5, 7 in the top 10. That's healthy for the championship. As we wait for a start at Silverstone and wait for who knows what in the weather. Arnold Schwarzenegger there has been hanging around the circuit. Part of a deal, of course, done. They're promoting his new movie, The Rise of the Machines, which is quite appropriate, I guess, in Formula One.
He's a guest of Jaguar this weekend, and he's getting an up-close and personal look at the inner workings of Formula One. On the starter's stand, and to the extreme left there is Charlie Whiting, who's the race starter and the FIA technical delegate. Beams us a little smile at the appropriate moment. We're just about set to cross to the ITV commentary team as we look at technical director Ross Brawn from Ferrari. And I'll be watching their man Rubens Barrichello and Michael Schumacher, who made an uncustomary mistake, starting from position 5. What have Bridgestone got for the evening? I've heard a couple of explanations as to what may unfold tonight. They reckon it will be determined based on temperature, cloud cover, and whichever way the weather goes will play to one tyre or the other. You can see that stiff breeze typical of Silverstone is blowing.
Massive crowd too, Neil.
Sensational crowd. OK, let's get across to the UK with James Allen and Martin Brundle for the British Grand Prix.
So they're just putting energy into the car, into the brakes, anything they can do to get a few more degrees in everything before this race gets underway, except, of course, the engine, because now they're stationary. There are no fans on these cars, and they're just beginning to heat up now, and the temperatures are soaring as those cars sit on the line.
Well, Montoya said it would be wild from the start. Get ready then for the law of the jungle. Here we go. They're off! Great start by Trulli. Look at him down the inside. He's attacking using that Renault launch control. He takes the lead, and Raikkonen's up into second place ahead of Rubens Barrichello. Look at Michael Schumacher. Someone's blown up in the pack there, I think one of the Jaguars, but yes, it is indeed. But Michael Schumacher, so aggressive off the start. He is, I think, in 5th place at the moment. And look at that, what a fabulous start by Jarno Trulli.
Michael Schumacher tried to get round the outside there of his brother Ralph and didn't quite make it. The oil smoke you're seeing is overfilled cars. I don't believe they're actually having terminal problems, as Alonso having a good run at Michael Schumacher down into Stowe. 2 and 3 abreast. Is that Coulthard in the background? Yes, clearing, I believe, one of the Jaguars, probably Pitsonia.
Well, Pitsonia started ahead of Mark Webber on the grid here today. Look at Alonso. He really is on the attack, isn't he? Absolutely driving all the way around the back of Ralf Schumacher. Around the back of Juan Montoya, I beg your pardon. He's dropped a place, in fact. Montoya must have got in front of him.
So Trulli, Raikkonen, Barrichello then from pole down to 3rd. Ralf Schumacher, Michael Schumacher, Alonso, Montoya, D'Amata, Coulthard as they went through the last timing beam. Coulthard up to 9th, and he has cleared the 2 Jaguars.
Terrific start also, we haven't really mentioned him much, for Kimi Raikkonen. From 3rd on the grid up to 2nd place. Montoya has jumped Alonso. We didn't see it, but obviously just after Alonso was attacking Michael Schumacher into Stowe corner, Montoya must have slid through. So as you say, Montoya ahead of Alonso now at the end of the first lap, and well, he was right, wasn't he? A wild start.
Yes, I would imagine it happened down into Vale, because Alonso was out of position trying to pass Michael Schumacher, and Montoya would have had a better run out of Stowe corner. But there you're on board then with 3rd place man Rubens Barrichello on the exit of Beckett's. Trulli leads, Kimi Raikkonen 2nd, Barrichello 3rd, and look, the Renault and the McLaren stretching a lead out to 3rd place man Barrichello quite comfortably.
Well, that's very surprising, isn't it? Very, very interesting indeed, the way that Barrichello is being dropped by those 2 cars. Ferrari expected to go well here this weekend. Look, he's falling into the clutches now of Ralf Schumacher, who's got his brother Michael paying close attention to his backside. And then we've got Montoya a little way back with Alonso, who seems to have dropped back and calmed down a little bit after his shenanigans on the opening lap.
Jenson Button went from 20th, and he's now up to 15th place. So a good start for JB then. And now the race is beginning to normalise a little bit. They're in line, they've made up the places they could in the early metres and the early corners and now the early laps, and it's settling down, and that is Frentzen, and he's still running in the Grand Prix, so that was some kind of systems problem on the start line. It was not, didn't look like terminal engine failure, and he is running at a solid pace, so Frentzen did finally get underway.
Trulli leads the Grand Prix on lap 3 from Raikkonen by just under a second. Barrichello 2.7 seconds behind Jarno Trulli in 3rd place. Then it's Ralf Schumacher 4th, Michael Schumacher in 5th place. 6th is Juan Montoya, 7th Alonso, 8th from 6th on the grid is Cristiano Di Matteo, and I think he was probably right in the middle of all that madness going on in the first lap. You'll have had a great view of it, but I bet it was going on all around him. David Coulthard, as you pointed out, Martin, has gone up from 12th to 9th, and well, we've seen all season how strong David Coulthard can be in the Grand Prix, even when he's had a poor qualifying session. Today, an opportunity for him to prove that as well. On board we ride then with Jenson Button, currently in 15th place, and he's scything his way through the field as well. That's Nick Heidfeld in the Sauber just in front of us.
Interestingly, Rubens Barrichello, the fastest man now on the track on this lap. He is taken 2 or 3 tenths out of the leaders as Ralf Furman has a go at Jos Verstappen. That's a tremendous battle for 17th place in the Grand Prix. And behind them, it looks as if Frentzen has now passed Wilson. He has indeed. So Wilson runs 20th, Frentzen up to 19th.
Verstappen carrying a neck injury here this weekend, legacy of many accidents he's had over time, but he strained it midweek, and he's really been suffering all through the weekend. So Ralf Furman crawling all over the back of Jos de Vos. Look at Wilson attacking the back of the Sauber there of Heinz-Harald Frentzen. He's lost a place there, so Wilson running in last place. Verstappen managed to take 3 positions off him off the start line.
Now, easily the fastest man on the racetrack was Barrichello, a new fastest lap of 22.8, as you see on the screen, and he took a half second out of the leaders by the end of the lap. Now remember yesterday, James, we wondered if Ferrari had slightly short-fueled Rubens to enable him to be on the front row. He got a great pole, and to try and get up there and help control the race. The bad start negated a lot of that if it did happen, but it'd be interesting to see if Barrichello has to pit earlier. Wait, Barrichello he got away quickly enough. It just didn't seem to accelerate. Coulthard was in the middle of the pack, flying through, and that then is Frentzen. It seems as if he's the engine's just cut out on him. Look, Rubens trying to go defensive early on, but he'd already missed it with the Renault, and then loads of cars smoking. Remember, they've been in parc fermé conditions. They haven't been able to touch those cars till they drive to the line. And there we go again.
Did you see Rubens Barrichello, even as the lights were going out, he wasn't looking up, he was looking to his right. He was defensive before the lights even went out. It's extraordinary. And
this is what it looks like from Michael Schumacher's car. He will try to go around the outside of Montoya, and we cut away from that. But Michael nearly made, Ralf Schumacher rather, he nearly made a great pass there. And this is Frentzen scything his way back through the field from that false start of his, and he passes Furman. Ted.
Martin, just an explanation as to how Jarno Trulli got into the lead. He's the only driver on the super soft Michelin tyres, so of course they give him great traction off the start line. The flip side of that, of course, guys, is how fast are these tyres going to degrade on Jarno? I asked the technical director Mike Gascoigne that, and he said no, we think it's okay, but only time will tell on this one.
Well, Renault do have tended to be gentler on their tyres throughout the season than the others. Side by side, Frentzen and Jos Verstappen, the scrap for 17th place, and Frentzen really is cutting his way through the field. But just a note there on what Ted was saying, the electronics guy who does the launch control systems for Renault, Tad Chapsky, he used to be at Ferrari in the old days, and he was the electronics guru who made them really fly. So the irony, he's gone to Renault now, and they pass Rubens Barrichello off the start line.
On board with Furman, who had a much better acceleration on the way out of club. Where is the Minardi as he heads down to the Abbey chicane? But look, this is now the new story of the race. Rubens Barrichello easily beginning to catch Kimi Raikkonen, and how much will that please the Ferrari team? Because at the moment Raikkonen's in second and his main championship contender Michael Schumacher in 5th. So Ferrari would love to get Barrichello ahead of Raikkonen, try to interfere with his race.
Yeah, well, Michael didn't gain anything, Michael Schumacher, off the start line. He's in 5th place and he's 5 seconds now behind race leader Jarno Trulli. Well, Trulli changed his helmet design a few races ago. He denied it was to try and bring him a bit more luck, but certainly that's the kind of thing that most people thought it was for. And who knows, here at Silverstone today, maybe it's brought him this kind of luck. The safety car has been deployed on lap 56. You can see on the pit wall there's confusion. They're all looking to see why the safety car has been deployed, and so are we. No indication of that at the moment. It might be a glitch in the system. No, there's confirmation of it. Why do we need a safety car at Silverstone?
Debris at turn 1. Debris on the racetrack at turn 1. And there is the safety car waiting to collect up the pack. And there is the debris. Shards of carbon fibre. Looks like somebody's had a bit of contact. And quite clearly in a corner that's 190-mile-an-hour entry, 150, 160 through the slowest part, you will not be sending marshals out there anywhere. And now the team's going to overdrive with their brains and their strategies and their computers. Shall we pit him now or not? And that was the only sensible decision. They could not send men out to Copse corner.
Absolutely right. The safety car has just passed us on the start-finish line. But of course, if you make a pit stop now, it's not going to be a very long time the safety car is going to be out. That debris is already cleared as D'Amata and David Coulthard both pit.
And it's a free pit stop if you do it now. Ted?
Yes, Martin, this is a very curious pit stop for David Coulthard, because we were pretty sure that he was on a two-stop. Oh, it's actually David Coulthard. He's lost his headrest. I don't know if you can see this on the pictures. They're having to fit a new headrest to David Coulthard's car. I've never seen that happen. I can't imagine how that came off. Maybe it wasn't secured in the first place. Maybe he was hit or something's gone on. Anyway, they put the new headrest down. Now they're trying to tape it down. It's quite a big job because it has to be in place. Bit of gaffer tape there. Has to be in place for safety reasons, of course. So important, these headrests of the drivers. A bad crash. He's away now. Oh, what a bad delay for David Coulthard.
Yes, luckily the safety car will still be out and he can catch up the back of the pack. But that is extraordinary. That head restraint coming out of the car. There is negative pressure above the cockpit of a Formula One car. It's very much part of the airflow over the car, James, the air in that region and how it feeds into the engine intake just above the driver's head. And now I think you're going to see it as it, there it goes. And that is highly unusual. And the only sensible decision was to go and pick that up, because that could break a front wing, and then you're heading into Beckett's just after that at another 190-mile-an-hour entry.
Yep, 150 mile an hour, 160 mile in some cars corner that Copse corner. So absolutely essential to get that debris out of the way. Even hitting it at low speed would cause enormous damage to these cars. So that's a bit of a bad break, really, for Jarno Trulli. He was a few seconds clear, a couple of seconds clear of Kimi Räikkönen there before that safety car was deployed. But, well, he's got it all to do again, but at least he's got track position from behind the safety car. But we've seen Räikkönen be very quick and very canny in restarts already this season, haven't we? Australia early in the year, I think, back to. So, well, a restart's always another chance for a bit more excitement.
Yes, Montoya always seems to be the one most awake for the restarts with his American racing experience. But the good news, and he's just behind Michael Schumacher, of course, the World Championship leader. Both Williams drivers really having a good charge at the championship in previous few races. So the safety car is in at the end of this lap. The pack are in the complex towards the end of the lap. So now Jarno Trulli effectively becomes the pace car. It's up to him now to control the pack, which is quite a useful weapon to have on a restart.
You saw Coulthard there and Ralph Furman right at the back of this snake when we go for the restart. Safety car comes in, dives into the pit lane. They can't overtake until they cross the start-finish line. That's really important. They all know the rules, though. And away we go. Someone's going into the pit lane. It's one of the Jaguars, I think. That's a badly timed pit stop. Now they can overtake. Let's see who's having a go. Michael Schumacher there. Side by side, you can see someone's off. One of the McLarens is off. No, one of the Williams is off. I beg your pardon. Montoya and Michael Schumacher having a real go through Copse. They're side by side at the top of your picture, coming down through the Beckett sequence. He'll have to slide in behind Michael Schumacher. Indeed, he does. And look, he's got Alonso over the back of him now. Has Juan Montoya, but he had a go at Michael Schumacher into Copse.
He did. Michael had to go defensive and take a tighter line on the way in, and Montoya just went flying into the corner and ended up running a bit wide. Luckily, the grass on the outside is very dry, and he got away with it. So Trulli maintains his lead then. Räikkönen in close company, and it seems as if on these colder tyre, maybe lower pressure conditions, seems as if Barrichello can't quite keep up, and then he'll come back at them again, I'd imagine.
Well, we've got two Michelin runners at the front, then we've got a Bridgestone runner, in the shape of Rubens Barrichello, Michelin, Ralf Schumacher, Bridgestone, Michael Schumacher. Doesn't seem to be much to choose between them here today at Silverstone, unlike the last 2 Grand Prix where Michelin had a clear advantage. This is Jenson Button. He is now up to 11th place because of those 4 men that made pit stops early on. And you can see that he's scything his way through the field. And from where he is there's a chance of points today for Jenson Button. Remind you that under the new rules, we offer points now down to 8th place, a single point for 8th place, and that's certainly benefited Mark Webber this season. He's picked up 5 points finishes, and 4 of those would have not happened last year under the old system. So chance for Jenson today, but Pitsonia also, it was Pitsonia who made the pit stop, Martin, on the restart. When the safety car came in, we thought we saw a Jaguar coming in. It was the Jag of Antonio Pitsonia, down to last place now.
Yes, really can't see the strategy there. You've always got to pit under effectively the yellows if you can. And the advantage of those, D'Amata came in early, which suggests to me he was on quite low fuel. If you're 3 stopping this afternoon, it was worth grabbing that at the end of lap 7. And Coulthard had to pit for a new head restraint, otherwise I'm sure he would have been black flagged anyway without that critical piece of safety equipment in place. But at least for David Coulthard, he's now fueled up and he's out of sequence. Maybe that'll help him a little bit later in the Grand Prix, but not what David Coulthard needed this afternoon.
No, and that pit stop, not what Pitsonia needed either. He'd out-qualified his teammate Mark Webber for only the 2nd time this season, and he's now lost 30 seconds to his team leader. He was just in front of him on the road. Webber now 9th, Pitsonia 20th, a full half minute behind Mark Webber. So I don't quite know why Jaguar brought him in then, or whether it was his own decision, but it's a very, very expensive one indeed. A great illustration of how safety cars and pitting under them can do well for you or do badly for you. Coulthard is 18th and Thurman 19th, and but they have made their stops.
So another new fastest lap then for Rubens Barrichello. He's now getting it back up to speed again, and he'll be putting Raikkonen under pressure. This is Coulthard scything his way through after that lengthy pit stop to replace the headrest, and at the moment he's 17th. Michael Schumacher now pumping in the fastest first sector of anybody so far this afternoon. So the pace of the Ferraris that we expected is just beginning to show itself, James, but they're just they've not got track position.
Absolutely critical. We talked about them wanting to control this race. That's why they sent Rubens Barrichello out there to chase after pole position. Ross Brawn, the team's technical director, said he didn't expect Michael Schumacher to match his time. He expected Michael to be a little bit behind him because he was carrying more fuel. But they have not got control of this race at the moment. Jarno Trulli has from a race point of view, but the championship man at the moment is Kimi Raikkonen. There he is. He's 2nd on the road at the moment, with the man he needs to take points off today, Michael Schumacher, down in 5th. And we ride with him now. 5 times world champion, Michael Schumacher. Let's see how this Ferrari's going today.
Woodcote Corner then, just an acceleration zone these days. The cars work so nicely, and you're heading towards Copse Corner, just passing through 185, creeping into 190, and absolute blind faith that it's going to turn in. You've got the feel of the grip, the load through the steering wheel, the G-force building up through your body, and other information coming back through the pedals, particularly under braking. Exit then of Beckett's Corner. Michael just riding that curb that broke Jenson Button's suspension yesterday. Coast over to the left-hand side for Stowe Corner. Come in on the middle of the track and touch the curb on the exit. Michael never quite got there, and it compromised you on the exit itself, and that's why he lost a bit of ground to the Williams of his brother. Club Corner then, tremendous G-force on the exit of that. And look at Barrichello getting right up behind Raikkonen. Raikkonen compromised on his line into the corner, and that was a beautiful pass from Rubens Barrichello. He really squeezed. Raikkonen had the line, Barrichello squeezed him off it.
Well, he lost the place early on, pole sitter Rubens Barrichello, but he's got the go now. He is attacking. He's passed Kimi Raikkonen. The next man in his sights is Jarno Trulli. And looking at the lap times, Martin, the last time through, you'd have to say, as we take another look at it, you'd have to say that Trulli's been holding them up.
And this is how Barrichello came into the overtaking zone. Raikkonen locked his wheel under braking interface, a little downhill slope there. It's tailwind too, so you got less downforce. Barrichello easily got a run at him. That's important for us to see that, because I'm wondering if that was purely because Barrichello was lighter. It wasn't. It was a mistake by Raikkonen, and Rubens just tippy-toeing around the outside and getting away with it.
Okay, this is lap 12 then. Jarno Trulli is still leading. We're riding on board with Kimi Räikkönen, who's now been dropped down to 3rd place. We've had a safety car here at Silverstone, and we've got plenty of racing still to come. Hockenheim a couple of years ago, we've got a lunatic on the track, down the Hangar Straight, 160 miles an hour the cars are doing as they come through there. Safety car out, of course. The drivers, oh my word, thinking about a pass there. David Coulthard on Olivier Panis. Well, what can you say? That is absolutely unbelievable.
The drivers giving him as wide a berth as they can, just swerving out of the way. What on earth are you doing? And luckily then the marshals have got to him now. Safety car deployed, and outrageous. And luckily nobody damaged, nobody hurt. Safety car has picked up. Look at this message on the computer here. Man on track at turn 6. We had it in Hockenheim, didn't we, a few years back with a disgruntled Mercedes-Benz employee. We've got to work out what this man's unhappy about, but thank goodness he's in one piece, because if you hit him at 150, 170 miles an hour, Kimi Räikkönen using the chance to pit.
What?
Welcome back to Silverstone. We'll get back to Martin and James in just a moment. Neil Crompton, an extraordinary situation, a track invasion, ridiculous, but it's absolutely can turn the structure of this race upside down.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Bill. I mean, just a ridiculous scenario to have some imbecile on the racetrack, and I hope they drag him off and lock him up, but it's brought everybody in now and completely changed everybody's strategy. Incidentally, Webber was in 9th position just prior to that safety car deployment. We'll go back now to ITV and see if we can unravel this mess for you.
Welcome back to Silverstone, where we've got a man running down the circuit. This happened a few minutes ago, just as we went to the break. He's broken out onto the track and he's running down the Hangar Straight. The cars are exiting Beckett's there at about 165 miles an hour, and that is an act of utter lunacy. How did he get out there? That's the first question. He very nearly got collected by David Coulthard, who was looking at making a move on Olivier Panis, and you can see the marshals getting him off the track. We've had a safety car situation, and all of the front runners have made a pit stop as a result of it. There you see the chaos in the pits, everybody having to react, because the pit stops themselves were scheduled pit stops, were only 5 or 6 laps away. So it's turned the Grand Prix on its head. And at the moment, Cristiano De Mata is shown as being the race leader.
And I tell you, that'll have serious implications for the British Grand Prix, that a man can get on the racetrack and be running down the middle of the Hangar Straight, for goodness sake, with the whole pack coming towards him. Of course, we've no idea what he was protesting about, what he's trying to achieve. Very nearly killing himself, and any driver that hit him would be in serious danger of his life too. And thank goodness we got away with that one in terms of personal injury, but that is the last thing this event needed.
Absolutely the last thing we needed. Well, we've got to regroup from this though. We have got still a motor race here, 60 laps at Silverstone. This is lap 14. The safety car is still out on track. Let me just tell you then the order of the cars behind the safety car from the restart, and they've all made one pit stop. What we don't know, obviously because it was so chaotic down there, is how long each of these cars refuel for, and therefore what their relative strategies are. It's impossible, I'm afraid, for us to know that. But what I can tell you is that Cristiano De Mata is your race leader. First time he's been at the lead of a Grand Prix. Olivier Panis, his Toyota teammate, is going to be second off the restart. David Coulthard, who had his neck support come off the track and made an early pit stop under the first of the 2 safety cars here this afternoon. He's up to 3rd now. Jarno Trulli, the big loser, obviously, he was the race leader. He's down to 4th. And from there, we've got Räikkönen behind him as he was before, Ralf Schumacher behind him as he was before in 6th place, Furman up to 7th because he made the early stop. Barrichello's lost out a little bit. He's down in 8th place. Webber is still 9th. Where is Michael Schumacher? Answer, 15th place. He's really going to have his work cut out today to score some points.
As luck would have it, those that pitted early on, Coulthard had to pit because his headrest flew out on the exit of Copse. It's played into their hands. I don't know if I saw the protester wearing a skirt or a kilt, and he would never realise it, but it's played beautifully into the hands of Scott David Coulthard, who's had, presumably they must have refueled him when they put his headrest back in. He was in the pits plenty of time, and now he should be nicely fueled up. The Toyota's also pitted, and it's played for them tremendously, because I think they were a bit short fueled too. Safety car will come in at the end of this lap, and all the computer power that lot have got, it does not allow for a man on the racetrack.
No, we did not need this at Silverstone here today. Having said that, we have got a very extraordinary situation here, the restart, and we've got a very, very topsy-turvy grid at the restart. And, well, everyone just regrouping now, gathering themselves up, and then we're going to get going racing again here on lap 15 of the British Grand Prix.
Looking back then from your race leader, Cristiano Domata, and behind him is his teammate, Olivier Panis. David Coulthard just behind them. Jarno Trulli looking all right, James.
Yeah.
He was the race leader. He's now fueled up, got a quick car underneath him. Jarno Trulli looking very handy this afternoon.
I tell you what, if you were running the Toyota race strategy now and you found yourself gifted with a 1-2 on lap 15 of 60, there's a good brain. Pat Simmons there of the Renault team. He knows his way around. He used to engineer Michael Schumacher. He's used to thinking these things through. But Toyota must feel now there's a great chance of scoring some big points here today. So in only their second season in Formula One, they find themselves on a 1-2 situation, and they will not want to lose face here and end up with an ignominious result with such a promising position at this stage of the race.
Start snaking around now. They've obviously all been told the safety car will come in at the end of this lap. The safety car's lights have gone out. Domata, who is well used to this as the American kart champion, this kind of scenario, he must feel absolutely at home now, leading, ready for a restart after the yellows.
Well, he said he'd be wild today, didn't he? But he didn't think we were going to see a man on the track, though. He just thought we were going to see lots of overtaking. The safety car comes in then for the second time in the British Grand Prix, and Cristiano Domata in the Toyota leads us off again. We're green flag racing. Yeah, we're green flag racing here at Silverstone. Panis is second, and look, already they're making moves to pass. Look at that, Raikkonen, fabulous move on Trulli. What an opportunistic move that was.
Yes, Raikkonen catching Trulli absolutely asleep, as will Ralf Schumacher any time now if he doesn't get on with it. And that's put us at Toyota 1-2, McLaren 3-4, and crucial there then, a crucial pass for Kimi Raikkonen.
And watch out for Michael Schumacher at the top of your screens there. He's got Ralf Furman. He's got to get past him as quickly as possible. He's now side by side with Furman, and it's easy peasy, isn't it, for Rubens Barrichello to just squeeze past Ralf Furman. Michael Schumacher is down in 14th place, of course, behind Alonso. That was Barrichello making the move, as he had to, on Ralf Furman.
David Coulthard getting slightly out of shape on the way into club, and that's given Raikkonen a run at him, but they should have similar amounts of fuel, similar amounts of power, and Raikkonen goes through them. So whether he's eased through or what, we don't know, but he got a better run out of club, and off he goes.
Yeah, that seemed to be relatively straightforward, didn't it, for Kimi Raikkonen? No trouble at all. And we've got real rambunctious action here in the main pack. Domata leading, Panis second, Coulthard third. Trulli is down to, Raikkonen's fourth, Trulli is fifth. Ralf Schumacher there in the mix as well, now trying to get all over the back of Jarno Trulli.
Kimi Raikkonen is absolutely on it. The car totally underneath him. Now look, he's got the Toyota halfway down the pit straight. Raikkonen absolutely flying. He has pitted, surely. He's got a decent level of fuel in it. He's flying.
He's got the desire because he's got the opportunity. He's up into second place, and he knows that Michael Schumacher is mired in a pack down in 14th place. He's got a whole bunch of cars to do. He's got a bunch of work to do this afternoon if he's going to score any points. And Kimi Raikkonen sees a wide open goal here at Silverstone. Look at this though, Barrichello attacking Ralf Schumacher.
And that'll be an important pass, but I don't think Ralph's going to have the Ferrari round the outside of him at Stowe, that's for sure. and he's really having to go defensive though. Now he can get, no, he's had to go in on a tight line, compromised, that'll compromise his exit speed. Rubens should be able to punish him for that, but the BMW is the most powerful engine on the racetrack, and will it give him enough grunt up the hill? And Rubens having to go wide, go to the outside, but he won't pass him like he did Raikkonen. And once again, Ralph out of position, and Barrichello makes it stick.
Wow, what a move by Rubens Barrichello! Fantastic motor racing here at Silverstone, and those two have got plenty of form, haven't they? They've taken each other off at all sorts of places over the last few years, said all sorts of rude things about each other, but they've given us some spectacular action here.
Now Montoya's ready to have a go at Ralf Schumacher. So De Matter leads, Raikkonen second, Panis third, Coulthard, Trulli, Barrichello, Ralf Schumacher, Montoya, Furman up to 9th, Webber, Villeneuve, Pizzonia, Alonso, Michael Schumacher still in 14th, tucked up behind the Renault.
Unable to do anything about the rest of them who are running away from him at the front of this Grand Prix. Kimi Raikkonen has a great opportunity. Cristiano De Matter, let's not forget, there he is still leading this Grand Prix, but Raikkonen is in the box seats now, and no mistake. He's got Coulthard behind him as a rear gunner in 4th place, and here it is again.
This is a great piece of driving. Ralf Schumacher had to go on a tighter line, locked his front left, ran wide, thought he could cover it. Rubens went to have a look around the outside, and then Ralf just wrong position really, wrong-footed, and quite easy then for Barrichello to take that place.
We just saw Jacques Villeneuve having a mega go at Mark Webber for 10th place as well. They'll be coming into your screens any second now. There they go. So everybody is getting side by side here this afternoon. It really is fast and furious stuff, and you can see there right now that Raikkonen is homing in on the back of race leader Cristiano De Matter. Ted, what can you tell us?
Well, James, Michael Schumacher's problem, of course, is that he got out rather behind Antonio Pizzonia, who stopped under the first safety car, the David Coulthard. And that's his problem. He can't get past Pizzonia. It's going to take all of Ross Brawn's nous to get him out of this kind of trouble. But also remember, Cristiano De Matter is on a 3-stop strategy. He stopped under the first safety car as well, so he should be coming in again very soon.
Well, depends how much they put in it. When he came in first time around, something we don't know. So many cars pitting at once. You can't time all 14 of them as to exactly how much fuel they put in the car. But Raikkonen beginning to ease in, just 0.6 of a second behind now. There's Panis and Coulthard then 3rd and 4th, and Barrichello getting ready to have a look at Trulli. Barrichello's pretty racy, isn't he?
He certainly is. Raikkonen and Barrichello, the two big heroes of this Grand Prix so far, and no mistake, they've both made some bold, audacious passing manoeuvres, and you can see now that Trulli is struggling with this car. He's lapping considerably slower than the fast guys, and he's a bit of a sitting duck here for Rubens Barrichello.
Ralf Schumacher's dropped off the back of this pack. Montoya is ahead of him now, so Ralf Schumacher's some 2.6 seconds behind his teammate, just coming into view there. Absolutely, his car not working for whatever reason at the moment. It's going fast enough not to have a major problem, I think, but certainly not fast enough to be a contender any longer. We have the Williams team out in the pit lane. Is it for Ralf Schumacher? Does he have a developing problem in the car? Over the line goes De Matter. Raikkonen now 0.4 of a second adrift. Panis 3rd still. Coulthard just behind him. Which Williams? Ralf is coming into the pits, so some form of problem developing then for Ralf Schumacher.
Yeah, well, he came in a few laps ago after the man walked out on the track. He made his pit stop. This is definitely unscheduled for Ralf Schumacher. This is lap 20, and this is going to drop him a long way down through the field. It'll probably drop him down to last place, actually.
I think he was probably saying, I've got no balance, I've got no grip. They're just changing the tyres, so it's a handling problem, I would guesstimate, James, rather than a technical or mechanical problem at this stage.
Yeah, but there's no question that he's going to have to stop again, because we're only on lap 20 out of 60. The car hasn't got a big enough fuel tank to make it to the finish. So Ralf Schumacher's afternoon seriously compromised. He doesn't look as though he's going to get his 3rd victory on the trot. Here's another look at that overtake. What a great, great moment of the season.
There it is, it's well worth seeing again. Ralf Schumacher up the inside, therefore slightly bumpier up there, locked his front left, ran wide. Rubens tried to go around the outside and just got himself more momentum. Ralf really should have cut him off. He could have had him on the grass, actually, quite legitimately. More debris on the racetrack, not on the racing line at this stage.
Oh.
And well, you don't know where to look next this afternoon. Jordan bouncing across the grass down at Vale on the entry to club. But meanwhile, De Matter calmly leading the Grand Prix, still with Raikkonen behind him.
Formula One, right? That's the motor racing where no one overtakes, yeah?
Seems to be that way, but I wish they'd stop the bits and pieces falling off them. It looks like somebody's just touched front wing end fences or something like that, and it's on the outside of the corner. It'd be difficult to retrieve, but I don't think it needs retrieving. It's away from the racing line down there on the outside of what I thought was Stowe.
You'll see there that Michael Schumacher is up now to 13th place. The reason for that, obviously, the pit stop of Ralf Schumacher, who was running further up than him. But it's not because Michael's been able to pass anybody. He's stuck, and he cannot do anything about it. Certainly not driving the kind of way that we're seeing from Rubens Barrichello or Kimi Raikkonen, who are very racy here this afternoon. Raikkonen still second, Barrichello up to 6th now. Not found a way past Jarno Trulli yet, who seems to have got the car under him a little bit more now.
Watching Ralf Schumacher's times, he's just done the fastest final sector, and that is Michael Schumacher trying to get past Alonso and not making it. He's got a tighter line round club, but you actually go slow, you scrub more speed if you go too tight round club, and your competitor's got a better run round the outside. But clearly a much faster car, and there's something going on the track, James. The lap times are very slow. I wonder if the Michelins are going through that sort of period of time where they got some graining and some rubber pieces on top of the surface of the tyre, because we're in the 24s and we were in the 22s.
Sure enough, they have taken fuel on, of course, but that's probably not enough of an explanation. And you can see there were 3 abreast there a moment ago. Absolutely extraordinary. I hope we get to see a bit more of this battle between Alonso and Michael Schumacher, because you think back to Barcelona. Here we are. Oh no, it's Barrichello, I beg your pardon. You think back to Barcelona, and Alonso certainly kept Michael Schumacher honest that day. He chased him home all the way. This is a similar kind of circuit, but this time it's Alonso who's in front of Michael.
Look at the speed advantage Barrichello has on Jarno Trulli. Trulli goes in early to cover the line, and there's just, because it nips a bit on the exit of Stowe, you can't do anything with it round the outside there. But once again, Trulli compromised up the inside. The only problem with this kind of battle is the group in front of you start pulling away as you're fighting each other. They start, you can see them in the far distance, start coasting away. Rubens got a chance up the inside here and decides not to take it. I think he could have got that one, you know.
Well, it would have taken some serious bravery. He's aware that there's still another 39 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and I'm sure he'll have other chances, but he really is on fire today, isn't he, Rubens Barrichello? Started from pole position, didn't work out for him off the start line. He got jumped by Jarno Trulli and then by Kimi Raikkonen, and he now finds himself in 6th place after 2 safety cars here at Silverstone. Zamata leading just under a second by Kimi Raikkonen. Hannes is 3rd, 4th is Coulthard, 5th is Trulli, 6th is Barrichello, 7th Montoya. Haven't seen him for a while. There he is on screen going through Copse Corner. Furman 8th, Webber 9th, Pitsonia in 10th place. On board here with Rubens Barrichello. As Ferrari working really well here this weekend. They certainly have bounced back from the disappointments of Magny-Cours 2 weeks ago. He's just regrouping now and having another think about what he's going to do about Jarno Trulli. Meanwhile, Alonso and Michael Schumacher still stuck back in 12th and 13th place. Not even yet at halfway, would you believe, in the Silverstone Grand Prix. A lot more to come.
What an amazing battle here at Silverstone, Neil Crompton. As unfortunate as that track invasion was, it has produced an incredible battle. We've seen more overtaking here than we've seen all year.
Well, it's tipped the event upside down, Billy, so blokes are scattered everywhere. People who shouldn't be in various positions are, and they're now finding they have to battle for track position in dirty air and in some cases off race line. How good was that battle with Rubens Barrichello before? And oh, there's an engine cover. Is that a bit of the engine cover missing off that thing? Closer look, but anyway, there's all sorts of weirdness unfolding in this event. Let's have a look at Mark Webber. He's down in 9th at the moment. He's lapping, believe it or not, in the 26s, so he's miles off his best potential, and he's tangled up with Ralf Furman. I thought by now that Cristiano may have come under some sort of assault from Kimi, who was really starting to close the gap, but they've actually balanced out in terms of lap speed now, Billy. Cristiano's doing a 1:24.6 on his last lap by comparison to a 24.7 for Kimi.
There's Webber and Pitsonia together. in that battle behind Furman. Big winner of that reshuffle was David Coulthard. You might recall that setback early in the race. But he managed to, in the shuffle, get back into fourth. But Michael, of course, was the big loser. And with Kimi's position, it's going to be very interesting for the championship. Whoa, the teammates almost coming together there. Mark and Antonio. And remember, we don't know how long Antonio will remain with that team.
They're running 9th and 10th at the moment. This is on board with Mark Webber. Right on the edge of grabbing some points in this British Grand Prix. What an extraordinary event. ITV are coming out of their break and we'll go back and join James and Martin for the continuance of the race.
Welcome back to the overtaking fest that is the 2003 British Grand Prix at Silverstone. I don't know how many times we've seen cars passing other cars here today, but we must be getting up towards 3 figures, I would imagine. It's been a chaotic Grand Prix from start to finish. We've had 2 safety cars. The first one for debris when David Coulthard's neck protector fell off at Copse Corner. The second when a lunatic walked out onto the track at the Hangar Straight. Everybody has pitted once. Ralf Schumacher has pitted twice. And we've got Michael Schumacher off track, we're being told by race control. He has continued. He's down at turn 14. Let's look at that.
Alonso making it past Villeneuve at last then. And there is Michael Schumacher. That's back with Jenson Button, isn't it? So Michael Schumacher's missed a critical opportunity there. He's back in 14. He was chasing Alonso. Alonso's past Villeneuve. Michael went off the road at turn 14 and lost the opportunity to follow Alonso through past the BAR of Villeneuve, and that's going to compromise his afternoon too. So it's not working out for Michael Schumacher.
Lap 26 here at Silverstone of 60, not even yet at halfway stage. You can see another great battle developing here. Furman, Pitsonia, and we've got Alonso in on the mix as well. He's past Mark Webber. And, well, it's all going off here in the midfield, isn't it? Furman's been doing a pretty solid job to hold these guys up, though.
Yes, Furman benefited from the safety cars. He's held 8th place and he's been there for some time. And now Pitsonia has got a good run at him and takes the line into Copse Corner. So Furman then falling back 1 place, and Alonso grabs the chance too.
Actually, I misidentified him. Pitsonia's further back. He's dropping down. That's Mark Webber. Their helmets are very similar, but it's Mark Webber that's got in front of Alonso. There is Pitsonia in the pit.
Yeah, Pitsonia was right behind Furman and pitted in with that lap. Everybody out of sequence now. But, nonetheless, De Matter still holding a 7/10 lead, James, over Kimi Räikkönen. And Panis and Coulthard now fighting each other, but they're losing ground. They're 8 seconds behind in 3rd and 4th.
Just explain to me why we've got so much overtaking today, then. It's not about different fuel loads, because they've all pitted once, with the exception of now Pitsonia and Ralf Schumacher. But it's not raining. There's no low grip. Everybody says you can't pass in Formula 1. Look at this. Here's a pass, is it? Michael Schumacher having a go at Jenson Button, who is uncompromising and very nearly takes off the front wing of Michael Schumacher's Ferrari. It's Villeneuve, I beg your pardon. And Schumacher has passed Button already. This is Villeneuve he's attacking now.
It is. He's still losing time, though, James. Critically, he's up to 12th with the various pit stops, but he's losing a lot of time. Look, Ralf Furman in front of them, just building a bit of a gap again now back to the BAR. So I think it's because we had cars out of position on the start line, 2 safety cars, different strategies out there. The track is quite tricky today with the wind conditions, and you know, you've got a nice wide track with some high-speed approaches, and it does generate a bit of overtaking. Ted?
Well, Martin, just to update you on Ralf Schumacher's problems, one of the barge boards, one of the aerodynamic devices on the left-hand side of his car fell off, and it fell right into the left-hand radiator. The temperatures, of course, went through the roof, so they had to stop him and get that thing out.
Thank you, Ted. As we were talking, Montoya passed Trulli on the way into Stowe Corner, got a better run down the straight, got better straight line speed. That is the Achilles heel of that Renault, isn't it? Straight line speed. Montoya making a clean pass up to the inside of Stowe Corner. Strong headwind down that straight, so a slipstream has an even bigger advantage today.
We're riding on board with the 12th place Michael Schumacher. Jack Villeneuve is just in front of us, and in front of him is Ralf Furman. There's Furman, Villeneuve, Michael Schumacher. How many points is he going to score this afternoon?
Right now, 0.
Well, obviously, but 33 laps from now, because if there's one motto that's written large right across Michael Schumacher's career, it's never give up. Of all the Grand Prix drivers I've seen, he is the one who tries the hardest from lights to flag. It's never over till it's over in Michael Schumacher's eyes.
The problem for Michael is his road's not clear. obviously. They're lapping in the 1:27s, and the leaders are lapping in the 1:24s. So every lap Michael has to follow the BAR. He's losing 2.5, 3 seconds per lap, and it's just destroying his afternoon's work. Barrichello in close company then with fourth place man Coulthard. They're now 10 seconds adrift of the two leaders, James.
I tell you what, we haven't seen much of them, but there's a Toyota leading this Grand Prix. The car in front is a Toyota on this occasion. It's Cristiano de Mata, but Olivier Panis is up there as well in third place. Raikkonen's in the sandwich. There you go, the top three. Raikkonen, there's Panis, you can see in third place. Coulthard behind, and Barrichello in fifth place. And they're doing the lap times. They're leading the Grand Prix. They're doing the lap times. They're walking the walk and they're talking the talk.
Fastest car on the track, though, I believe, are the two Ferraris. They just can't use it. They can't get away with it and let the cars go. They're constantly fighting, constantly having to defend or make an attack or get caught up in somebody else's battle. McLaren in the pit lane. Let's have a look and see who it is. It's David Coulthard pitting then for the second time this afternoon. First time around it was for a new headrest, and then they took the opportunity for tyres and fuel, and he makes the second stop then. Well out of synchronisation now.
Yeah, it may well be a roll of the dice here by the McLaren team, because he's obviously got the Toyotas in front of him. They're going to try and do something a bit different here. I remember he had a pit stop disaster the last Grand Prix in France where he went away with a refuelling hose, but here not too bad. 27 seconds he's lost to the field. He's dropping down through the field. He was in fourth place before he made that stop. He's going to rejoin behind the Williams of Montoya, certainly. We'll check on where he's rejoined exactly, but it's at least seventh.
Yes, I think it could be a little bit further down than that. We'll have to wait and see. The pack has really been shuffled, and the disadvantage today of feeding back in is they're, with two safety cars, they're much closer than they would normally be. They're much more line astern in terms of the overall Grand Prix. I mean, from first to 16 is, which is Ralf Schumacher in 16, is just over half a minute at the moment. So if you feed back into the pack, you're almost certainly going to be in a lot of traffic. And there then is, and look, this is Michael. Can he finally get past Villeneuve? No!
I think there's something going on here. There's a bit of form, as we well know, between Jacques Villeneuve and Michael Schumacher. Think back to the last Grand Prix of 1997, and if you do, you're pretty much thinking back to the last two these found themselves in the same place on the racetrack. There was one occasion in Barcelona early in the BAR experience for Villeneuve, but since then he's just not been a contender, so he's not shared a racetrack with Michael Schumacher. And here today he is proving just as difficult to pass as he did at Jerez back in 1997, when an awful lot more was at stake.
Well, Villeneuve's got a lot to prove, though, at the moment. He's under pressure to, I believe, stay in Formula One. He deserves a place in Formula One. There's so few seats, and we assume he's going to stay with BAR. And we're watching the Minardi of Justin Wilson outbraking himself down into the Abbey chicane there. So the Ferrari hooked up in the middle of two BARs. Is it a Ferrari sandwich or is it a bar snack?
Oh dear. There is Villeneuve, as you can see. No chance there for Michael Schumacher. And you can see that Montoya has got ahead of Olivier Panis. So has Barrichello. We didn't see exactly what happened to Panis, but he's lost 2 places in the last half a lap. And Toyota, into the pits comes the race leader, Cristiano de Mata. Super job he's done. Hats off to you, Cristiano. Took advantage of the opportunity, and it was a really, really nice bit of driving.
And the other, I'm looking for Panis. Is he coming in the pits? Because he's travelling very slowly, and he doesn't come in the pit lane. Panis has a problem, surely. He's, as you said, I mean, I think it was almost in 2 or 3 corners he lost 2 places there. So Raikkonen leads, de Mata pits, Barrichello up to second, Montoya then up to third.
Yeah, Panis has got a problem. His last lap was a 1 minute 27.4, when the pace at the moment is a mid 24. That's what he was doing beforehand. And now this guy has, once again, the open goal. He knows that Michael Schumacher, as Mark Webber pits, Michael Schumacher is down in 11th place, stuck behind Villeneuve, stuck behind Furman, and Webber has come in, so that's 1 less place that Michael Schumacher's got to make up. But he too has to make his stop, doesn't he, soon? Michael Schumacher, a great opportunity then for Raikkonen to close the gap. If he gets 10 points today and Michael Schumacher doesn't get any, Raikkonen's back in the lead of the championship.
Absolutely. A word for Furman then. Ralf Furman in the Jordan. He is currently 8th position and keeping himself ahead of Villeneuve and the reigning world champion Michael Schumacher. Good afternoon work, and ahead of his teammate Fisichella. So Furman holding his own from 17th on the grid. Can Michael make it work this time? He's got to get on the inside line into the Abbey chicane. Surely he's going to do it now. Surely he can. Villeneuve can't turn in. He'll take 2 wheels off his car and 2 off Michael's. And finally then, that pass is made. And Button having a look as well. He says, I'll have a bit of that, thanks. And Villeneuve says, no chance, teammate. Stay behind me.
Well, they've been getting on quite well recently, these two. Going into this season, remember what they were saying about each other, particularly what Villeneuve was saying about Jenson Button. I've got no respect for him. He's got to prove himself to me. He's achieved nothing. And once he just realised there in the middle of Bridge Corner that Button was having a look at him, he gave him a chop.
Panis Pitts from what ended up being 6th place. He really was falling down the pack, Olivier Panis, and a very, very good stop there.
That was a tidy stop. That'll keep him in the race, I think. Look at this, though. This is Michael Schumacher and Ralph Furman. What a nervous time in his first British Grand Prix for this rookie driver who's got a 5-time world champion up his exhaust pipes.
Lamb to the slaughter, I'm afraid. Michael will just he's got 10 mile an hour more straight line speed, take the inside line, and Ralph, no chance. Absolutely no chance of defending that one. Coulthard's coming up behind them too now. But Villeneuve didn't have to let Michael to its 4th position. He had to demonstrate he was fighting for his life out there, even if they were fighting over what was 12th place. Here we go again.
Take another look at this. This is Michael Schumacher getting Villeneuve.
Textbook overtaking manoeuvre. Villeneuve was all ready to cut him off one more time, but this time Michael had 2/3 of the Ferrari up into the frame.
There's the reaction in the Ferrari garage. It's been one of those afternoons so far for them. And here's Jenson Button, still behind teammate Villeneuve, looking for 10th place if he can get past his teammate. I wonder what he'll be thinking about what the Villeneuve's little move on him in the middle of Bridge Corner.
It was a touch rude, wasn't it? I mean, Villeneuve can get away with it. You're allowed to move once. You shouldn't move back across the track again, but hey, that goes on out there all the time. If you tried to penalise everybody for that, they'd all be in the pits on stop and goes, because that's what Grand Prix racing's all about. And Coulthard there, up into 13th now. He's made his 2nd stop, so a little bit later on, he'll come back into the frame somewhere. But Raikkonen leads now from Barrichello by 9.5 seconds, but Barrichello beginning to charge.
Look at this. This is Ralf Schumacher coming up the inside of Giancarlo Fisichella.
And that was for 11th place then, taking over 11th place. Ralf Schumacher clearly a little bit happier with his car after that pit stop, so we think it was just a balance problem. I wonder, Ralf must have been pretty dispirited to have Rubens drive around the outside of him, and that is looking like a sick Jaguar, unfortunately. Get that to the vets, because it's not going to go any further. Pitzonia then trailing fluid. I wonder if he left any of that out on the racetrack.
Well, let's hope not. But certainly there's been plenty of events and action here this afternoon and incidents. On board now with Ralf Schumacher. That is Jenson Button just in front of us in 10th place.
Rubens Barrichello has just put a new fastest lap in, a 1:22.6, some half-second quicker than Raikkonen again. And Pitzonia escaping from the Jaguar, and there is confirmation of Barrichello's fastest lap on lap 33.
So, working lap 34 now as they go across the start-finish line. What we have now, again, after the chaos when the man walked on the track and we had a safety car, the 2 Toyotas led the Grand Prix. They've come in for their pit stop, and we've gone back to a form of relative normality at the front, with a McLaren leading from a Ferrari, from a Williams. Raikkonen, Barrichello, Montoya is the top 3. Jarno Trulli, who was at the front of this Grand Prix, led from the start. From the outside of row 1 is in 4th place. Alonso, who not long ago was down in 11th place fighting Michael Schumacher, he's now 5th. Michael Schumacher is 7th with D'Amato between him and Alonso.
There'll have to be an awful lot of yellow flags waving down there at Stowe. We've got a digger on into the gravel trap to pull the Jaguar away. It's in quite a tricky place, that Jaguar. And if they can't move it very quickly, look at that for an overtake. And Ralf Schumacher there, coming from way behind Jenson Button. Did he make it or not? That's cutting back to Coulthard behind Fisichella. And
Yes,
Ralf
got him.
Schumacher there coming from way back. That would have frightened the life out of Button. He wouldn't have seen him coming from there.
Very audacious. That took 10th place away from Jenson Button. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see that again. Very, very bold move. Ralph's on the move as well then, clearly. Feels the car has come back to him after his earlier problems. This is Montoya, just looking to put a lap on Nick Heidfeld, who is down in 18th place in the Sauber. Not a good day, really, for the Sauber team. Frenson's in 14th.
And Heidfeld there yielding because he is being lapped. Blue flags be waving. Just 3 drivers lapped then at the moment. Heidfeld, Wilson and Pitzonia, who has, of course, now stopped in the gravel trap at Stowe with what appears to be a broken engine. 2 Renaults then line astern now, Trulli and Alonso. Trulli was looking supremely fast at the beginning, but really not done much of late, James.
No, and his last lap was a second slower than Alonso's, who is closing right in on him. Race leader, lap 35, race leader Kimi Raikkonen comes into the pits. So Rubens Barrichello takes over the lead of this Grand Prix, and he crosses the line now to take that lead. Ted.
What a fantastic chance this is for Kimi Raikkonen to win his second Grand Prix, James. New tyres all round, no problems with the fuel stop. He's taking his pit stop a little earlier than all the guys around him so that he can get clean air, because for sure Williams and Ferrari might even have to stop on the same lap.
Well, that'll be interesting, but Raikkonen had a 3.2-second lead over Rubens Barrichello before he came in for that pit stop. So that's the job Rubens Barrichello's got to do now before his own second stop, is to close down those 3.2 and get himself ahead of Raikkonen when he comes out from the pits.
Yes, it was about a 7 or 8 second lead, and that is a very clean move from a long way back for Ralf Schumacher there to take over the position. It was 10th at the time, now 9th. And it's why Barrichello was much closer than it seemed in the beginning, as Michael Schumacher sized his way through the back markers as well, is of course you lose time coming in the pit lane. You're flat out. Ralph Furman pits the second time this afternoon. So I think the net gap was about 7 seconds actually, James, as Raikkonen lost a little bit coming into the speed limit of the pit lane, where on the racetrack you're absolutely flat out going over the start-finish line itself.
Indeed he is, yes. He'll have to do his own in-lap, which is another thing that Kimi Raikkonen can take advantage of. So he's working with about 6 or 7 seconds then, Rubens Barrichello. He's going to need a few laps to make that up, and these are the crucial laps. Look at the speed, 122.897. Fastest lap he's cut for some time now. Montoya's up into second place. There's the brain whirring inside the head of Ross Brawn.
Barrichello just comfortably faster than anybody else. Heidfeld and Trulli are pitting, then Trulli from 4th place. Barrichello's just smashing them all around at the moment. He's in the 22s. You've got Montoya in the 23s, as is Michael Schumacher, his teammate, and the rest of them are 24s, 25s, even 27s, some of them out there. So the 2 Ferraris stunningly fast at the moment.
Yep, fastest first sector of the race so far, set by Rubens Barrichello. He's pushing very hard indeed. Montoya is 4.5 seconds behind him on the road. Alonso is 9 seconds back from Montoya. Raikkonen is shown as being in 4th place. D'Amata is 5th. Michael Schumacher in the mix as well. The 2 BAR cars are having an eventful afternoon. They're split at the moment by Ralf Schumacher. That's 8th, 9th and 10th there you're looking at.
So many cars line astern, James. They really have been packed up today, haven't they? And nobody can seem to make a run for it in the midfield. Barrichello's making a good run at the front. His lead is 4.5 seconds over second place. Montoya, Alonso 3rd. Barrichello, another new fastest lap at 122.5. What did he take? Another 7/10 out of Montoya. So Montoya falling away, and the top 3 have yet to make their second stop of the afternoon. But Rubens Barrichello laying down a marker here, and with Michael Schumacher out of the chance, it seems, of winning this Grand Prix, Barrichello's got a great chance this afternoon.
He has indeed. His last lap was 1.2 seconds faster than Kimi Raikkonen's last lap. These are the crucial laps for Rubens Barrichello to win this race. His margin over him now is 22.3 seconds, and you need about 25, 26, and a really, really nice, fast, crisp pit stop in order to make it count. So Barrichello's trying, no doubt about it at all. There he is, leading this race, just over 5 seconds now from Montoya. I wonder what the Williams is going to be able to do here this afternoon. Montoya must feel that a podium is on. Williams are ready for one of their two drivers. Ralf Schumacher made an unscheduled stop. Look at this, almost three abreast they go. Just passing the back marker there, the Minardi getting out of the way. And I wonder if Ralf Schumacher will have any more joy getting past Villeneuve than his elder brother did. It took him a long time, Michael, to get past Villeneuve.
It's a dogged drive by Villeneuve. Doing a good job out there, you have to say. He's not going to give in easily. Ralf passed Montoya pits, second place man Montoya pits then in the Williams. He was 5.3 adrift of Barrichello at the end of the previous lap. And there he is, and Alonso from third, pitting two, as Barrichello pumps in a 1:22.2 and just stretches the advantage. Brand new tyres going on, helmet cam there from the front right wheelman of the Williams, and down the pit lane he goes. So Barrichello looking good.
He is looking good. That last lap for Raikkonen at 1:24.0, so almost 2 seconds slower than Rubens Barrichello on that last lap 38. The margin between them 24.1 seconds on the racetrack. It's going to come down to the pit crews really as to which one of these two comes out in front for the final dash to the flag to win the British Grand Prix between Rubens Barrichello and Kimi Raikkonen.
I thought I heard that not sounding good. I think Alonso stalled in the pits. We just cut away and it sounded like he was chugging along, but I'm pretty sure Alonso stalled the engine and lost 10-15 seconds minimum there.
There's Kimi Raikkonen, hasn't won a Grand Prix since Malaysia, the second round of the World Championship this year. And Rubens Barrichello pits at the end of lap 38 to beginning lap 39. Sorry, the end of lap 39, Rubens Barrichello pits. Ted, this is a crucial one.
Well, absolutely, it's a crucial one, but I tell you what, he's got the Williams crew in front of him, so he's going to have to be so careful when he comes out he doesn't clonk any of that. That shouldn't delay him too much, though. Stops going well so far. Fuel going into the finish. 8.4, is it enough?
Well, Raikkonen's just exiting Woodcote now. He's accelerating up through the gears. Third, fourth, fifth. He's up to about 140 miles an hour. He crosses the start-finish line now, and I think Raikkonen is going to take the lead of the British Grand Prix as Rubens Barrichello comes out. He couldn't do enough in the laps that counted, and Raikkonen leads at Silverstone.
Yes, couldn't quite make the difference. He didn't have enough laps under him, did Rubens Barrichello, to make the difference, although he was sensationally fast. But I think he's fast enough to catch Raikkonen again and start putting him under pressure. Michael Schumacher there, you're seeing in the background, he is fourth. D'Amato in the Toyota still going well, but Barrichello then failed to get out in front of Raikkonen.
What a great battle for the British Grand Prix. It's been a brilliant race. And now Rubens Barrichello, even though he was out-muscled in, now here's a problem in the pits. Neil, was some debris running across the track in front of the Sauber there. That could have been a bit of a worry.
A wheel nut, I believe it was, from one of the Williams cars, and it could well have been Ralf, who was the most recent of the Williams stoppers, as Michael comes in to take service on lap 39. The order is Kimi Raikkonen, Rubens Barrichello, Cristiano D'Amato, who I thought did a great job withstanding pressure early and held on to his lead in that segment of the race. We don't know precisely how this is all going to shake out, obviously, at the moment, because of the confusion to do with who's on what strategy and their timing, according to when that Zub walked across the track. The interesting thing is that Coulthard and D'Amato and, of course, Panis took advantage of that situation because they had come in earlier. Looking down to position 11, Mark Webber on his last lap at 1:26. When the car was light towards the end of his stint, Bill, he actually got into the 1:23s. And there he is, at least we're seeing him tonight.
Schumacher coming out, of course, sweeping in front of him. Interesting battle up the front with Barrichello. Nice and heavy, fresh tyres, trying to hunt down Kimi Raikkonen. Couldn't get him in terms of the pit stop shuffle, but he does have a lot of speed.
McLaren have had great success here. I mentioned at the top of the show with Hakkinen winning in 2001, Coulthard twice winner in 2099, and Hakkinen also in 98. And they're looking strong again tonight.
Barrichello already up on the back of Raikkonen. This will be a great battle.
Welcome back to Silverstone. It's been all action from the start, and it's all action again now. This is the battle for the lead of the British Grand Prix between the two men who really impressed today. Kimi Raikkonen for McLaren is in front, and Rubens Barrichello in the Ferrari is right behind him. Rubens lost the lead to Raikkonen through the pit stop sequences, couldn't do enough in that time to be able to rejoin when he came out from his stop. Villeneuve pits there from 7th place, and look at how close they are.
Yes, Raikkonen got a little bit out of shape on the way out of Stowe, 2 or 3 corners earlier, and it's just allowed Barrichello to be all over. We know how good Barrichello is. This is his favourite overtaking place. He's been past Raikkonen once already today, and Kimi says, not this time, my friend. But again, Raikkonen now out of position, and Barrichello's going to take it, surely. No, he doesn't. And Raikkonen had to go wide. He went in too deep, went wide, and Barrichello beautifully really just giving Raikkonen no chance there.
And the crowd at Silverstone is going bananas. They've seen some amazing action here this afternoon. Some of it the right stuff, some of it the wrong stuff, but very much brilliance, really, from Rubens Barrichello. Look at that. What a great reaction from the Silverstone crowd. Last year here, Rubens Barrichello went from last to 2nd place. He certainly had never been quite so compromised this year. He's been in the hunt. 6th, I think, is the lowest he got to during the course of all the shenanigans. But he has been quite outstanding here in his overtaking manoeuvre, and that's one we'll talk about for a long time.
Yeah, Raikkonen, as Jenson Button pits from what was 6th place. Raikkonen really wasn't going to give up there, but he nearly threw it away. He absolutely nearly threw it away there. He just went up flat and high into bridge, and it's not the place to be. It's too dirty up there, and that is why he ended up going on the grass. But he wasn't about to yield, was he? But Rubens Barrichello, the drive of his Grand Prix career, surely this afternoon, he is just saying, okay, I'm coming, I'm going to pass you now, and I'm going to pass you where I want to pass you, and if you're going to cause me trouble, I'll just push you out of the way.
Yeah.
And the way he's got the car to do it, but the way he's setting the other drivers up to get them out of position, out of balance, and then picks them off when he's ready.
It's a masterclass from Rubens Barrichello. There's been talk throughout the season, really, of how he's been overshadowed by Michael Schumacher this year. Not really done much for the Ferrari team. Asked on Friday, Michael Schumacher said, well, when has Rubens ever really helped me in terms of the World Championship? And today was Rubens' open goal with Michael in trouble. Look at this again and savour it.
Now, this started back at Stowe Corner at the other end of the racetrack, where Raikkonen got a bit wide and just had to go defensive, although this is up into the Abbey chicane. Rubens couldn't go around the outside. Kimi went in too deep. Rubens switched back to the inside, got earlier on the throttle, and then Raikkonen tried to just brave it out round the outside and out, well, just ran out of road when he needed it most there, and in fact Rubens had given up on it at that point. Kimi didn't need to go quite so hard into it. Rubens had yielded, but of course Raikkonen didn't know that. You're not looking in your mirrors as you're trying to drive bridge at 150 miles an hour on a wide line.
Exactly, just for the record, that is the speed at Bridge Corner, 150 miles an hour. Not for the faint-hearted then, that move. And as I say, a lot of talk recently about Barrichello's position within this Ferrari team. He's got a contract through to the end of 2004. But when they renewed the contracts of all the big players in the team, Michael Schumacher, Ross Brawn, etc., they didn't renew Barrichello's. There was a lot of talk, and I think today has gone a long way to put that right. Look at this pass, though, attempted by Olivier Panis and Jarno Trulli. This is a battle for 6th place.
I think without the Minardi in the way of Verstappen there, I think Panis would have made that one stick, but truly not with much race pace at the moment, as we've often seen with him as the race unfolds. Jarno Trulli doesn't seem to be able to keep up his early pace. I mean, you had a Fisichella coasting there. Looks like he's got a right rear puncture or right rear suspension failure. Doesn't look punctured, so it must be... Well, we'll wait and see till he gets in the pits. But Eddie Jordan there, his man Fisichella, who was running 14th out of the Grand Prix. It looks like a right rear suspension failure.
Well, we saw in a feature Louise did earlier on, Lawrence Dallaglio making some suspension parts for the Jordan team. I'm sure he didn't make that one, but he'll be looking on that one and knowing just how strong they have to be. And this is the problem. It broke where you really don't want it to. That's Beckett's corner. That sequence taken at well over 130 mile an hour.
Oh, good job somebody wasn't right in the heart of the final part of Beckett's there. The Sauber doing a good job to stay out of the way, and a nasty moment there at 185 miles an hour turn into a corner, and that car will be out of the race, Ted.
Yeah, Martin, a wry smile on the face of Ron Dennis, boss of McLaren, during that Rubens-Kimi battle. I tell you what, they'd love him to win this race, but finishing second is not so bad because Michael Schumacher's only going to be, what, 3 or 4 points at the very best today, and so it's narrowing that gap at the top of the championship, and that will do for McLaren.
Yes, indeed. And that's what they need Barrichello to do. They need him to take points away from Michael's contenders. For the days when Michael's not winning it for himself, and that's nothing against Rubens. But, we've certainly seen Rubens can get the job done this afternoon. Michael has not made a good job of getting through the pack. You have to say he's not made as good a job as Barrichello, that's for sure. As Fisichella decides he's not walking back, he'll limp back somehow. He really should park that car.
Well, if the race finished right now with Michael Schumacher in 8th place and Kimi Raikkonen 2nd, the gap in the World Championship, Michael Schumacher will be leading by a single point with 5 Grand Prix to go in the World Championship. A very eventful afternoon. We knew it was going to be a pivotal race here at Silverstone. Barrichello leads by 3.5 from Raikkonen. Montoya 3rd, Coulthard 4th, D'Amata 5th for Toyota, Trulli 5th for Renault, and 6th Michael Schumacher, 7th D'Amata, and 8th coming into the pits now, Olivier Panis.
Good stop for Olivier Panis, but a shaky exit. He's almost collided with the Sauber there. It was 6.7 seconds, obviously not needing as much fuel at this end of the race as some of the earlier stoppers. But on the subject of Toyota, great drive still from Cristiano D'Amata now.
Yes, he continues to circulate quite strongly, and his season best so far, I think, was a 6th place in Spain, and he's currently shaken out in 7th place, so he may well be on target as we look at him here to either equal or perhaps even improve on that. But what a tremendous battle it was, Billy, between Rubens Barrichello and Kimi Raikkonen. That was just fantastic to watch, that little battle, and as Martin quite rightly pointed out, he clearly has the car to do it. He stuck it on pole position yesterday and the thing's working beautifully, but the way in which he's working the system and out-positioning the other guy is very exciting motor racing to watch. Montoya's been quietly just working away at the task here, and they're going to walk away with some points remaining, assuming the car remains reliable. But looks like it's going to be a reasonable day for the key players, with perhaps the exception of Michael, who's just really struggled as a result of the guy walking on the track and then having been buried so far down in the field for so long.
Well, this is a very interesting battle here now. That's the differential between Michael and D'Amata, but if Michael can take Trulli, of course, it's another valuable step in retaining that championship lead. This is looking like a good result for Kimi Raikkonen, but Michael now, as he's had to do a couple of times this year, embark on a salvage operation in the final laps. He's chasing 5th place. You can see how close the split is there. Quite a big gap, though, up to 4th.
Webber, incidentally, is 8th, Billy, and into the points.
Lap 48 of this 60-lap British Grand Prix. You're riding on board there with Michael Schumacher, having a bit of a go at Jarno Trulli. That's the battle for 5th place at the moment, and every point that Schumacher scores is going to be valuable for him in the championship. David Coulthard pits from what was 4th place. That's his 3rd stop of the afternoon. The first one was an unscheduled one to replace his neck support in the car. Barrichello leading, Raikkonen 2nd, Montoya 3rd.
What's crucial for Coulthard here is, does he get out in front of the Renaults and the Toyotas? He's been putting in some very hot laps as Coulthard, as his fuel tank was running down. Michael Schumacher has not cleared the car of showing him, of Jarno Trulli there. Look at the straight line speed advantage he's got. He can't get around the outside, surely, can he? Trulli should be able to cover that base and gets a better drive out of Stowe on a better line. And Michael then just scuppered himself slightly. Now he's got him on the move. Now he can cut back in and get earlier traction. And has he got enough speed, straight line speed, with the toe up the hill? And Trulli's going to have to go keep it inside, otherwise he's going to be passed. Michael's going to pass you, my friend. You didn't cover him properly, and up he goes.
What should he have done?
He just had to stay left. He must know that the speed advantage of the second part of the straight, and he literally had to force Michael round the outside and then outbrake him.
So Schumacher's now on for 4 World Championship points, up into 5th place. That's vital today with Raikkonen, actually, interestingly, Martin, has had a very slow lap and has fallen behind Juan Montoya. We haven't seen it, but his last lap, Kimi Raikkonen, was a 1:29. Is this it? Yes, it is. He ran wide.
He ran very wide, look, down at Stowe Corner, isn't it? And Montoya then just comes whistling past him. That's a bit of a crucial error then for Raikkonen. So just as Michael Schumacher starts picking up positions, Kimi Raikkonen has lost a couple. And actually, they're now line astern. They're 3rd and 4th. So they've got to pit again, yeah. People looking in good shape. De Matter and Coulthard have finished their stop. Coulthard did come out behind De Matter, but is still comfortably ahead of Alonso. Button is ahead of Villeneuve, 9th and 10th. Ralf Schumacher cruising around in 11th with not a lot of pace. He's not happy with that car at the moment. Montoya now 9.4 seconds adrift, as you can see, from the leader.
I tell you what, this is a pretty fine recovery drive from Michael Schumacher. He's 36 seconds behind race leader Rubens Barrichello, but considering how unpromising it looked a while ago, he was in 12th, 13th place, couldn't get past Alonso, couldn't get past Ralph Furman and Jacques Villeneuve. Absolutely incredible. Back up into 4th place, and that mistake by Kimi Raikkonen really giving Schumacher a real championship boost, because the amount of points they're going to take away from each other here is pretty small. Louise is with Giancarlo Fisichella.
That's right, James. Giancarlo, your cars are built to take some punishment, but sadly it couldn't cope with the punishment at Silverstone today.
Yeah, wasn't a bad race. The balance of the car was quite good. Unfortunately, the grip, it was still a problem. And then I think we broken the push road, and I lost the car, and the speed was very high and was quite dangerous.
Just tell us briefly about that moment of madness where the man ran onto the track. Did you see him?
Yeah, I saw him in the main straight. He's crazy, unbelievable.
Thanks, Giancarlo.
Indeed, he was crazy and unbelievable. And now you've got Trulli, De Matter, Coulthard, 5, 6 and 7. This is playing quite nicely into the hands of David Coulthard now. De Matter has stopped 3 times. Coulthard is lapping much faster than him, and Trulli has only stopped twice. Is he fueled to the end of the race? Is that why his pace has not been particularly good? He's certainly falling down the field. Remember, Trulli led this race comfortably in the early stages. Coulthard on a charge then. There's some points to be scored there. Michael Schumacher up into 4th, but I believe he's got to stop again yet.
Really? You think so?
I would have thought so. Well, let's see. We do. I mean, so many pit stops. Nobody's able to time them all, how much fuel they're putting in. But
9 to go. It'd be a shame if anybody had to stop again.
Yeah, it's true.
Race.
They might squeeze it out now. It's true.
Be interesting to see, but certainly a bit of a gift there for Juan Montoya, up into 2nd place. Another important 8 points if he can hold on to them here. And Rubens Barrichello, who said at the top that what he had to do today was use this opportunity with Michael Schumacher, his team leader, not in the hunt. And this was his opportunity really to do something today. Is he going to win the British Grand Prix? It'll be his first win since Indianapolis last year if he did it. On board though with David Coulthard, and that's Cristiano De Matter just in front of us in the Toyota. The battle for 6th and 7th places.
And just down the road is Jarno Trulli. So and Coulthard then takes a tighter line, a better line into Stowe, but he was compromised. The angle's too acute going in there, and De Matter bringing it back across. Surely now Coulthard can get him. Will De Matter hang on round the outside? No, he will not. And a brave move there from Coulthard to take over 6th place.
Well, he started 12th on the grid, did David Coulthard. De Matter started 6th on the grid, and with that move, Coulthard goes 6th and De Matter down to 7th. So a dogged day, really, in the saddle for David Coulthard. Compromised once again by his performance on the single-lap qualifying on Saturday, but he's put a few markers down this afternoon and given the Brits around this racetrack something to cheer about. Just quick looking at the World Championship situation. If it ended right now, the race, Michael Schumacher would have 69 points, Kimi Raikkonen 62. Montoya would go in front of Ralf Schumacher with 55 points.
There's Coulthard then muscling his way through. De Matter really, you have to say, did well there. In the end, he had to concede the corner. Otherwise, it just would have been a guaranteed accident and loss of suspension parts there. Coulthard thought he probably was going to make it stick on the way into Stowe, but definitely did into the next corner. Michael Schumacher running fourth then, but 23.5 seconds behind Raikkonen, but crucially minimising the points damage so far this afternoon. Ted.
Indeed, you say that, Martin, but Michael Schumacher certainly had the speed in the car. It's the World Championship in microcosm. If you look at that place for third and fourth, he's lapping so much faster than Kimi Raikkonen, but due to all this incident and accident, he couldn't do anything about it. I think Ferrari can say that Michael might have got up there with Rubens if this all hadn't happened, but better things ahead, I think, for the Michelins, for McLaren at the next couple of races.
Well, it certainly seems as if that big test last week has helped Ferrari a lot. They've looked like they've had the pace, haven't they, since this Grand Prix weekend started. And certainly Barrichello, we wondered if he was short-fueled on the front of the grid. Difficult to know now with all the safety car periods, but he's only stopped twice, and comfortably. He did a 1:22.2 for the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, as Rubens Barrichello. So he's had the pace, he's had the bravery, and he's certainly had the brakes, hasn't he, to get up the inside of people under braking.
We're riding just for a moment there with Jenson Button. We said today if he was going to get anything out of the race, he was going to need to have a bit of a red mist on. He certainly worked hard throughout the day. He's managed to get ahead of his teammate Jacques Villeneuve, who was in front of him for quite a long time. And from 20th on the grid, Button is now up into 8th place and a points-paying position. So a solid day for him and the BAR team. Oh, he got even more here. Look, that's Alonso. You thought he sounded sick in the pit stops, didn't you?
He stalled in the pit stops, but Alonso then on the pit straight now. They can open that red barrier and just should be able to just get his car through there, I would have thought. It is clearly way off the racing line. Will they choose to do anything about that so late in the Grand Prix? There'll be waved yellow flags down there. Didn't have far to walk, James. Looked straight back into his own garage. Disappointment then, as he was just starting lap 54.
Yet another DNF then for Alonso, whose record early in the season was tremendous, but another failure to finish here at Silverstone. This is lap 54. Barrichello leading, Montoya second, Raikkonen third.
Close to the finish now of the British Grand Prix. You have to give credit to Michael Schumacher as they try and get rid of that Alonso Renault off the circuit. Jarno Trulli still running out there. Not up the front where he was before, but still solid points after that double DNF at Magny-Cours. 5th place at the moment, although under pressure now from David Coulthard. We said he was a little lucky earlier, Neil, didn't we, after that track invasion? Little lock-up there, incidentally, cost him a fair bit of track position as they still try and shift Alonso's car. But Coulthard has deserved his luck today. He's driven hard from where he was.
This has been another tough Grand Prix for him, and he's already been under pressure by virtue of the tough qualifying yesterday. Incidentally, just after the last break where we mentioned that Mark had come into the points and had made it into position 11 after his last stop, now by virtue of that he's down in position 14, so well out of the points and kind of trapped and caught. Look at this awkward manoeuvring of the Renault as they try and get it back through the safety fence, and the problem is the car's actually bottoming out across the little variations in the height of the road there. So the ride height of these cars is such that they don't go across objects particularly successfully. So the marshals there doing a great job and just trying to get the thing out of the way as quickly and safely as possible, get it off the racetrack, get it tucked away in the garage.
Judging on the earlier splits we saw before the commercial break, it looks like the top four is fairly set. As I said, Trulli maybe under threat for 5th place from Coulthard as we watch that battle right now. Jarno Trulli defending his position. Let's have a listen.
Five laps remaining in the British Grand Prix. James Allen and Martin Brundle with you. It's been an unbelievable day. We've had a man on the track, we've had 2 safety cars, the leaders have been in all various different positions. Cristiano De Mata in the Toyota led at one point. Rubens Barrichello, Kimi Raikkonen, Jarno Trulli have all led this Grand Prix. One man who hasn't led this Grand Prix is Michael Schumacher. He was as low as 13th at one point, but a very dogged recovery by him has seen him climb back up to 4th. Kimi Raikkonen appeared to have the race pretty much sitting there for him, but he was unable to beat Barrichello and then made a mistake and let Montoya through. So Raikkonen's now 3rd, Montoya 2nd into the closing stages of this race.
Yeah, and we've got the Brits going to add a little bit of spice for us. They've not had a great weekend, the 4 British drivers, but Coulthard homing in quickly on the back of 5th place man Jarno Trulli there, and Button in 8th, all over the back of De Mata in 7th in the Toyota. There is Jenson Button, and there is De Mata, of course. And so they're all in the points, and they've got a chance to gain or lose some here. And looking at Ralph Furman down in 13th to finish the Brits off, and Justin Wilson in 16th, 2.5 seconds behind his teammate. 3 retirements. Alonso, some kind of technical problem. Fisichella, left rear suspension failure. Pizzoni, it looked like an engine problem.
Well, it wasn't a vintage day for the Brits yesterday in qualifying. None of them were in the top 10. And here today, although it's not going to be exactly a home victory, it's a victory of sorts for Coulthard, who started 12th. He's 6th at the moment, maybe 5th by the end. And look at this, Mark Webber having a move here on Furman. This is the intensity of the battling we've seen all day. So much overtaking here at Silverstone on a dry track. Nothing to do with the conditions here. It's just the intensity of the competition that's been going on. And look at them, 3 of them going through a tight space. Webber, they're trying to work his way around the outside of the Minardi. But 2 Brits looking like they're going to score points today, Jenson Button and David Coulthard. Both of them had big recoveries to make.
Yeah, it's incredible, but they're racing for 13th place here now, going at it hammer and tongue. Look at this. Furman really has, I think, shown something today. Frankie Dettori is getting confident there's going to be a Ferrari victory, and why not? Rubens Barrichello, fastest car on the track, set a new lap record, and now he's got 7.5 second advantage on 2nd place man Montoya, coasting nicely towards a victory here in the 2003 British Grand Prix. Can David Coulthard move up to 5th, just behind Michael Schumacher? He's got to pass Trulli first.
Well, a lot of people have struggled to do that this afternoon. Jarno Trulli's had a curious day, really. Started on the front row of the grid, got the lead into the first corner from Rubens Barrichello, and managed to lead in the early stages before the sequence of safety cars. And he slipped backwards. He's had moments when he seemed to be asleep, certainly off the restart of one of the safety cars. He was picked off by Montoya, but he's fought back, and he is still in 5th place and doggedly trying to hold on to that to the finish. There's your race leader on his way, possibly, hopefully, to his 6th career victory, all of them with Ferrari, and his first since last September. Rubens Barrichello must have felt when he woke up this morning it was his day. Look at this. Coulthard down towards Copse, 150 miles an hour through Copse Corner they go. Then the Beckett sequence, no real chance of a pass here. It's on the straight down to Stowe, he might have a chance.
Yeah, the job he's got here is to stay as close as he can. He won't pass him. He's got a turbulent air, get a lot of understeer on the final part, and have to be hesitant on the throttle. And that gives the guy in front a chance to just pull a car length or 2. But now Coulthard getting into the slipstream, but we're getting too near to Stowe. It's going to have to be a brave one if it's going to work out. And Trulli's got the inside line, and it'll just squeeze Coulthard up against the curb. Now DC's got to be calm under braking. He's got the Renault out of position. And nicely done, beautifully drives around the outside of Jarno Trulli for 5th place, and the crowd watching it down here on the diamond screens going crazy on the pit straight.
Quite rightly, one of many, many fantastic passing manoeuvres here at Silverstone. This really has rewritten the rule book when it comes to overtaking. Whoever it was that said you don't see it in Formula One, I think they'll have to revise their opinion, because all of the big names have shown us today what overtaking in Formula One is all about. Some beautiful dummies, some setups, some bravery, some squeezing through, some outbraking, some incredible stuff at high speed as well. It's all added up to an extraordinary cocktail of motor racing here at Silverstone, and a most eventful Grand Prix. David Coulthard is up now into 5th place.
Yeah, you've got to respect the driving out there. They're really wheel to wheel, and they're pushing each other to the limit, squeezing each other as hard as they can. But except for Jacques having a little weave on Jenson Button, they've been 100% correct. Supreme skill going on out there this afternoon.
And great coverage of it as well. I must say the pictures have really helped us here this afternoon to tell the story. Look at this.
Now, what was good there was that Trulli didn't lock a brake, otherwise he would have gone into the side of DC, but Coulthard had to make the move and just positioned his car nicely. And again, that started the corner before on the way into Stowe, when you get your opponent looking in his mirrors and taking unusual lines, and then you've got him on the run. Louise.
Yeah, just a quick line for you on Fernando Alonso, that third retirement we saw. It appears it's an electronics problem. The team think that's probably why he had the stall in the second stop, and he had no traction control at all after that second stop.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because he was lapping reasonably quickly as Jacques Villeneuve takes a trip across the beach. He just kept some momentum. He was in 9th place out of the points. He was 9/10 of a second behind his teammate. Whoa! Bernardi, they're so nearly getting into the side of race leader Rubens Barrichello. And still Furman is holding off Webber. They're a lap down now, but they're in 13th and 14th place.
And thoroughly enjoying themselves. Just a few corners to go then now for Rubens Barrichello. He knew today possibly was his date with destiny. It just seemed to be falling his way. Pole position didn't work out for him at the start, but he stuck at it. And through some of the best overtaking certainly we've seen this year, and we've seen from Rubens Barrichello in his entire career, he's come through to take the race victory. Just a few slow corners to go now. The crowd here at Silverstone are up on their feet to applaud what has been a champion's drive, even though the championship itself seems a long way for Rubens Barrichello. Will he risk a wave at his lovely British fans? Yes, Rubens, you are the winner of the 2003 British Grand Prix, a race we'll remember for a very, very long time, and a brilliant, brilliant drive by Rubens Barrichello. Frankie Dettori's happy, and well he might be.
Great race. Great drive. Montoya made the best of what he had. 5.4 seconds adrift at the end. Coulthard will be satisfied with 12th to 5th with some pretty handy moves. Michael Schumacher goes over the line in 4th. As ever, he somehow saved the day. He was fighting back there in 12th. Didn't seem to be able to pass anybody. Coulthard drives over the line, then takes his 5th place points position. Jarno Trulli will be behind him, and to matter some more points for the Toyota in 7th, and Button then getting the final point for BAR.
Takes some time to pick the bones out of that race.
From the back of the grid, it has to be remembered.
Yep, good effort from Jenson Button from 20th on the grid. Jacques Villeneuve there just coming through now, you can see. And behind him, Panis and Frentzen. Frentzen had a problem at the start line, off the parade lap anyway. No, off the start line, in fact. Difficult day for the Sauber team in general, with Nick Heidfeld down in 17th place. But no doubt at all about your winner. And I have to ask you about your drive of the day.
No, you don't.
No?
Well, you don't, because it's easy, isn't it?
Is it?
That's dead. It's got to be Rubens Barrichello, surely. I mean, don't you think?
Yeah,
Brilliant pole. He wasn't light on the front of the grid. And... you know, made those incredible... I mean, any one of his moves was worth watching this afternoon. Really aggressive drive. Faster than Michael Schumacher in clear air as well. And absolutely a brilliant and well-deserved victory for Rubens Barrichello.
Yeah.
Well, we have had... it have to be the best race of the year. I don't know about the drive of the day, Neil, but I think it's the race of the year so far.
Well, indeed. I mean, where do you start? Where do you finish? Excellent performance from Rubens after a strong and a fantastic qualifying performance on Saturday, coming back from a bit of a disastrous Friday. Here's the race classification, 60 laps in the bag. Rubens Barrichello for Ferrari, Brazil and Bridgestone from Juan Pablo Montoya. In second position, Kimi Raikkonen in third. Michael Schumacher really gets out of jail position for Coulthard in 5, Trulli. And they're whipping through them. Webber ultimately finishing 14th. How was the spirit of that battle down the order towards the end of the race? Ultimately no yield for Mark tonight. He has been scoring points in recent rounds, but many people will be scratching their heads and wondering about what strategies unfolded as a result of that bloke wandering onto the track. Disappointing day for Fisichella again, which will further consolidate the rumour mill that he's going to look for greener pastures next year. And we heard tonight that he's having a long, hard look at a Sauber deal for next year. But for Rubens, 7th career win in Grand Prix racing. Got the fastest lap tonight as we look at David Coulthard. And for Rubens, it's his 12th career fastest lap. Good save.
Montoya was a good save too, as we saw Coulthard there acknowledging what would be a very enthusiastic reception from the crowd. Here's the championship, a 7-point lead now. Raikkonen takes just a small bite when it could have been a big chunk. Montoya, as James pointed out, slips ahead of Ralph in the championship points and is very much a contender. We have a battle between four, really. Mark Webber, no points today, further down the order. And I think Mark, even though he wasn't overly happy with his own performance, he did say the car was going quite well. So I think to find the Sauber and the Jordan ahead of him in the race, I'd imagine would not be the result he would expect. Whether he's happy or not, given all the shuffling that went on, that's another question. You can't possibly second-guess what's going on in a driver's mind.
In the 2003 season year to date, 7 winners so far with 11 rounds down. That's a healthy number, isn't it?
Well, he's had a funny year, Rubens, hasn't he? He's been up and down, and quite often in Saturday qualifying he's lost track position from Friday, where he showed good speed, and therefore he's been a little compromised during the course of the race. He hasn't had a lot of luck, found himself in the middle of packs at various times and not been able to show speed in clear track. But it's worked out beautifully for him today. For all the interruptions, he's managed to come out on top, and after the disappointments of Brazil, he has nailed this from pole. Well, it's not Michael Schumacher on the podium for Ferrari this weekend, but I don't think anyone would begrudge the success of Rubens Barrichello. It's been a while since Michael wasn't on the podium now.
European Grand Prix, finished 5th, and of course early in the year he had a pretty tough start. In Australia he was 4th and off the podium, and then 6th in Malaysia and also off the podium there, but then he had that very healthy chunk in the middle, but tough day for him.
And the interesting thing, James made the comment a number of times about the... Oh, Rubens almost goes off backwards. It's been one of those days, hasn't it? That's all we need now, a driver falling off. Yes, maybe it was Frankie Dettori's influence there, but they just played the dance mix of the Italian anthem. I was going to say, well done to Rubens, as we congratulate Rubens, that James made the comment about the criticism of the series this year relating to passing, or the lack of it. There's no doubt that it's been an exciting series without a lot of passing, given the strategy and the fight for track position revolving around pit stops. But today, certainly, Neil, we saw genuine car-to-car, driver-to-driver racing like we haven't seen for a long time.
Well, there was some great carving manoeuvres, certainly spectacular. But I think one of the interesting things that I noted early in the race was just how difficult it obviously is to pass in these things because of the air disturbance you get from the preceding car. When you look at the pace that Rubens had when he ultimately got in clear air, it was quite extraordinary. And yet he couldn't use it when he was bottled up in the pack, and neither could Michael to a certain extent. And they obviously clearly had very fast cars. It just robs the cars of such a massive percentage of downforce, and that's obviously one of the debates that rages endlessly in this business. Bob Constanduros, the English-speaking trackside commentator there, going off.
A couple of milestones in this race, really, that are significant for the championship. It's Kimi's first podium since round 7. That was Monaco, of course. And for a man who is so much in contention for the title, that's a little surprising when you think about it. Webber's lowest finish this year. That's not such a good milestone for Mark. Ralph Schumacher, first time this year he's finished without points in a race, but he still has managed to finish every race, and that is important too. And you mentioned 7 winners, Neil. Well, that's the most we've had since 1985 in the championship. That's not a bad thing either. And Rubens shedding a tear on the podium during the Brazilian anthem. He tidied himself up during the Italian anthem. And I don't know if there's any underlying significance other than the fact that it's been since September that he won a race, but
well,
he's an emotional guy too.
He is an emotional guy. He's enormously dedicated. He's very a religious guy.